Hello, America, and welcome to another episode of Teach the People with Areshia. This week, I sit down with my dear friend, the Style Features Director for Oprah Magazine, Miss Holly Carter. Holly is going to share with us her experiences over the last 20 years working in the beauty and fashion industry. So you all pull out your pen and paper and get ready to look, listen, and learn to Holly Carter on Teach the People with Areshia. Hey, Holly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm not as good as you are. Look at you. You look wonderful.
Oh, you're nice. I'm glowing because it's sweaty and I just washed my hair and swimming all day.
I love it. I mean, if that's what swimming looks like, you need to, Holly, I'm telling you, you need to be modeling. This is gorgeous.
Do they want 40-something-year-old models? Curvy models? I don't know. Maybe.
I just love the way you use curvy. That's my new line now. I'm using that.
It is curvy. I mean, I don't like the word. I mean, I've written stories about plus.
Yeah.
I don't say plus anymore, but something about plus. Like, if you're plus, then what is non-plus?
Yeah. Where does plus begin? Because I'm relatively sure I'm in the neighborhood.
Technically, like 14.
Oh, so what are you if you're not plus? You're just regular size.
There's 14 plus, and I think there's regular 14, right? The regular size, but then like you think, what does regular mean?
That's right. In comparison to who?
Right, exactly.
So before we get into all that, because I want people to know who you are and what you do, Miss Holly Carter joining us, the beauty editor from Oprah Magazine. Yeah!
Actually, I'm the style features director, so now I'm like fashion.
So style features means all things. Do you still do the beauty, like cosmetics and whatnot, and now also fashion, or are you leaning more to fashion?
My job is, I do all the fashion stories. I write all the fashion stories. And my background, as you know, is in beauty for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. If there's a fashion beauty hybrid story, I will do it. Or I do a lot of the makeover stories, or, which always include beauty, but my focus is fashion now, oddly. I don't know if it's odd.
It's not odd to me because you have always been very fashionable as far as I'm concerned. But now I'm curious. So you're like a trendsetter then. So when we are looking to see, what trends are coming up, what fashions we can look for the workplace and after work and date that, you set all that?
I write about all that. So I'm a part of that process of reporting on it. And so the market editors at O, they go in the market and pull all the trends and the creative director is in charge of the fashion department. So now I'm a part of that whole scene.
Wow. So let's not get ahead of ourselves really quickly because I want to take everybody back to the beginning. Okay. How do you become the style and features editor? Like what was the trajectory? What was the roadmap to here? Now I know you studied communications in college.
Yes.
So how do we get here from there?
The most vague major you could pick. In my mind, that's why I picked it, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, when I think about my journey, it's not what I thought it would be. And I guess that's common for most people, but I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I was saying in the beginning, I took jobs. I loved all my jobs, and they brought me something I needed and something different. But I couldn't really break into the job I wanted as a 22-year-old. I wanted, when you want to work in publishing, which I did, you think like Vogue or all the magazines that you think that you know about and you read. You think top. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. I didn't get into that publishing house. So I kind of went like a roundabout way. I was a sales assistant for Parenting Magazine. And then I was an assistant editor, an editorial assistant for a hair magazine called American Salon. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really want to stay there. It was a trade magazine. So I freelanced and sort of proved that I could do consumer magazines. I freelanced for GQ and Essence. And then I found my way to In Touch magazine, which I had never heard of. And my mother, who's no longer living, but she loved In Touch. She loved Inquirer, Star, In Touch, all that, any of those magazines. And she mentioned it and I didn't know what it was. And she's like, I'm like, Mom, it's in style. It's not, there's no in touch, which is ironic because I ended up working there. So that's what started my journey into sort of the celebrity journalism field, the weekly world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I stayed there for exactly a year. And then you want to ask me something?
Well, I did. I want to ask you really quickly. Did you have a mentor or someone to show you the way, like, or were you just kind of moving around to see what fit?
I had a couple people I called. I knew like friends of friends who had broken in and, you know, were Black editors. There weren't many, you know, a couple people at magazines, but I don't want to say I had a mentor. Of course you have people helping you along the way. I think publisher Parenting, who got me an interview at Condé Nast, and, you know, I interviewed at Spin Magazine and that didn't work out. And she ended up helping me get into, you know, the hair magazine I worked for. But so I had people helping me, but there wasn't one, unfortunately, as I, you know, see, you know, mentoring and is so valuable. I didn't have one person that really mentored me. It was kind of like a collective and just the journey itself with all the people along the way that sort of pushed me ahead with my own doing as well.
So let me ask you this, and I'm going to take this because I want to be clear. When you started out in beauty and for a very long time worked in beauty and hair, and one of the reasons I tried my bold lipstick today is because you said lipstick has the power to change everything.
How did you know that? Like, that's my tagline, lipstick changes everything. That is like my tagline.
Because I study my sources. I study. And I will admit, it does give me kind of a different feeling about myself, right? It kind of, red lipstick makes you feel pretty.
It does.
Whatever pretty is to you. That's what it does for me. When you were in that world, though, now I've always known you to have beautiful hair all the time. And you've always, you've done work on the beauty side for hair and for makeup and nails, right? Yeah. Where did you learn?
I was on a nail reality show.
What?
Nailed it. I was a judge a guest judge on a reality show called On Oxygen.
What did you do? What was it? What did they do?
They did nail art. So I flew to LA for the day and judged sort of the competitors. It was called Nailed It with Adrienne Bailon was the host. And
from The Real.
Mm-hmm. I was the guest judge for the day.
And so when you just like the designs that they would like, who could ever make the funkiest design on a nail?
So it was like, you know, like Top Chef. So they had a challenge for the day, and I don't remember the exact challenge, but it was some sort of, for that day, it was some sort of specific nail art, whether it was 3D or something.
There's a lane for everybody.
There is.
And how did you learn about beauty and hair and makeup and all that? Like, where did you learn all this?
So I really think I learned on my second job at American Salon and American Spa magazine. And then there was another publication called Shades of Beauty, which was I guess I'll call it ethnic publication. So those publications were all for the trade. So I wrote columns for people like Brad Johns, who was a hair colorist. We had columns with Frederick Fekkai, and we worked with hairstylists like Oribe, who was like one of the icons. And when you're talking to the trade, when I'm talking and writing for hairdressers and makeup artists and nail techs and estheticians, you absorb firsthand behind the scenes of, you know, I could do a single process or a double process after talking to them for so long. You kind of learn, what should I say, like the behind the scenes of beauty, because they're doing it. So I think that's really where I learned, you know, it's.
Is that different though, or odd kind of, as a Black woman, you're in this world where you're learning all of this fashion, where people be sure to like throw in tips for ethnic hair or, you know, tips for Black people, Black women specifically, or were you always kind of learning it from a European perspective?
I think it varied. Like, we worked with different people at that magazine. I mean, you know, we worked with someone like Billy B, who did Destiny's Child and Beyonce's makeup at the time. So it varied. I think unfortunately, the movement of inclusion is new. And I think back then it wasn't, unfortunately, you know, if I look back now that I see what's happening and all, you know, inclusivity and how important it is and people pushing, it wasn't like that in the 90s, early 2000s. And you think like, what could I have done differently? Or, you know, but at the time you were trying to build a career. And it's interesting, as a Black editor, I was in a world, you know, I would write about self-tanner. I would write about beachy waves. I would write about, you know, because I had the knowledge to do it.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. And, you know, we weren't talking about edges or, you know, natural hair as much back then. But now I feel like there is more inclusion. But I wish there was more back then.
I imagine that there had to have been times when you were the only Black woman in the room.
All the time.
All the time. What's that like when you're having these conversations about beauty and what it means? Are you always sure to kind of carry the mantle for us Black girls to say, hey, you know, there's an audience here too? Or was there not a space for that?
I wish there was, you know, in the early days, there wasn't as much of a space for it. You know, you interject your voice when you can. And, you know, and like I said, I wish, looking back, I probably could have done more. But I feel like I've been the only one in the room for a long time. So it's I was kind of used to it growing up, you know, where I grew up, and, you know, in college it was different. But yeah, there weren't a lot of, you know, voices. So I feel like I did my best to be like, we're here. What about this way? Or let's include this shade of red because, you know, we want, you know, darker skin to have something. Or this brand, what about this brand that's owned by a Black woman, you know? So that's where I tried to sort of make my presence known in that way.
I can imagine that it's probably a lot of fun to learn about different makeups and, you know, you try them and you test them out. Have you ever had an experience where you were trying a hair product that may not have been for you?
Oh my goodness. I think like in-house, in-home, probably not as much in home, but I think in salon, I've come out of a salon like I could have done better on my own. I'm not going to name salons and products, but I've come out with like a chunk of hair missing. I've a giant scab in the middle of my scalp, not knowing that I was burnt. So I've been to so many salons and tried so many things. I think at home, you know, now that I'm natural, I try things, it doesn't work out. But there's nothing like crazy for hair. I mean, I've broken out skin-wise, of course. Like I've had my skin ripped off with chemical peels. I've broken.
What?
I do it all for the readers. I mean, you're trying all this stuff, and not everything's for everybody, unfortunately. You know, so you're trying something that might work great for you, but on me, it's going to make me break out, or it's going to, you know, dry out my hair. But yeah, I've tried a decent amount of stuff over the years, more than a decent amount.
Well, I mean, at least you're dedicated. That I don't know. I feel like the moment I would have had a scab in the top of my head, that would have been the end for me. And I mean, because it's not like you don't have, I mean, you have a flowing head full of hair. And I mean, I don't know that I'd necessarily be playing with it. Now, so you're fully natural, no relaxer, no treatment, no anything?
No, it's been, I remember because it was the last, I think I had a Brazilian put in, it was the election of 2016.
What, like the Brazilian protein treatment?
Yeah, like a keratin treatment.
And how did you like it? Did it work?
Not like it. You know, I feel like it's only supposed to take out the frizz.
Yeah.
I feel like it made my curl, because I was a little, I think I was far along on the, you know, not having had a relaxer at that point. So I think it made it a little too straight, but, you know, it did take out the frizz. And I think after I got that, I wanted to try it. And after I got that, I was like, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to go natural.
I did that once, and I let the lady do the protein treatment, and literally The next time I washed my hair, it felt like hay. It was so hard. And so I don't know what she did, but it was not the one for me. Now I just keep it close and
Hair is done.
Don't do nothing wrong. And see, did it myself because I've learned, and I'm too afraid to go to the salon in the quarantine.
Yes.
Yep.
I went like a month ago. So I went back to my apartment in the city to get a haircut because my hair, with natural hair, it tangles so much. When you need a cut, I feel like that's a sign. I get so many knots, like what do you call them? Angel knots at the end, and like it's matted. It's like it's time for a haircut. So I was nervous, but I went in for my trim.
See, that's a problem I know nothing about unless I have my weave. Then that's another story. But now let me ask you something, Holly. How has the pandemic affected your business?
As editorially or?
Yeah, I mean, so in the world of beauty, and obviously with all these people unemployed now, and I was in the mall the other day and stores are just closing down left and right. The beauty counter, they're not handing out samples anymore. I'm just wondering if it's had any effect on your work in editorials.
Well, I mean, it's changed the way we work. So we're all, remote and, learned new systems to be able to put out a print magazine. So it's changed the way we work. I think, still fashion and beauty, it's still an escape for people. So I think people do want to see the latest and greatest. In the fashion department, we've been writing about things that are more practical, like, masks, the best masks, you can wear, or perhaps it's, more cozier clothes since, this holiday season or this fall, people will be still home likely. So I call it
I have my daytime pajamas and my nighttime pajamas.
You don't want to know what I have on, waist down.
No, we're going to talk about this, the magic of Zoom. So you talk about how it's changed your business and how you all are working. And so obviously everyone is remote, but also Oprah Magazine, for whom you work, aren't you all moving now to a quarterly subscription model? Like you'll only be putting out issues quarterly now?
So it's all still being determined, but it is the plan from what I know right now is to go to more digital format, a more digitized version of Oprah Magazine. And Oprah's, I think she put it up online that she plans on publishing for at least 4 issues a year. So we're still, I assume they're working it all out. We're still waiting to hear the exact plan, but that's the way of the world right now. Digital websites. I mean, I worked for a magazine, People's Style Watch, that folded. I mean, print magazines, it's not the 90s. So, everything's going digital. So it's the way of the world, and it's more current, and the content can be more current. So we'll see what happens. It's exciting, I think.
But you all do still have really exciting things going on over at Oprah Magazine. I mean, I must say that I was so elated and proud and moved by the issue with Breonna Taylor on the front. Who made that decision? Because we know that, since inception, there's always been Lady O on the cover of the magazine, and that's why we go to it. How did you all come to that decision to make Breonna Taylor the cover of the magazine?
Well, that was in the end, it was Oprah's decision, but a staffer had the idea and brought it to the powers that be, and Oprah immediately was like, yes, and I think it was an easy choice for her.
I think it brings so much awareness to the work that still needs to be done in the Breonna Taylor case. As you see how now, when you compare this, over 20-year history that you've had in this business, and you see how things have evolved, and now we are moving to more inclusivity, which you have always championed for, right? Whether it was about girls of color or curvy girls, you've always been very vocal about that. Now that you see that the world is ready to listen, where do you see this movement taking us in your business? Like, what's your greatest vision for what it looks like?
Well, I love what's happening right now. All the younger editors, there's a push for Black brands. I've seen so many publications published. I wrote one myself on Black-owned beauty brands for fashion brands. I think there's every facet, whether it's food or fashion, people are putting that story out. So I feel like that awareness is really taking off, and people, like you said, people are listening. So the hope is that it just becomes commonplace, that it becomes organic. That's my hope, that, we're not, I won't say we're not talking about inclusivity, but that it just becomes the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. What is, I saw a piece that you did size-wise.
Oh my gosh,
I really enjoyed that. And
another editor, that was a labor of love. That was a tough story.
Tell me why.
A lot of research went into it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I interviewed, after the fact, the number gets bigger, right? But I feel like I interviewed like 30 people for that story. Whether it be fashion designers, retailers, influencers. And that's the story I came into O. So I was a freelancer at O before. Mm-hmm. I left for a while and I came back as a full-time employee. And that's the story that was already underway when I came in. So, it was a very important story. So it was on plus size fashion and how, the industry has really grown, and where it came from and where it is now, with influencers and retailers sort of paying attention. It's all inclusivity in the end, right? But it was a needed story. And it was an important story to do, because what is the average size in America? I believe is between a 14 and a 16. So, sorry, did you see someone walking by?
I did. But see, I was trying to act like I didn't know. Well, look, Holly, I read that you said, and this really stood out to me, you said, everyone deserves something beautiful to put on her body, regardless as to what size she is. And that, for somebody who likes cookies and ice cream every night, that really resonated with me.
Same.
It really did, because I thought to myself, so what, whether you're a size 6, a size 10, a size 16, you should be able to put on something that you feel beautiful in.
Isn't it just normal? Doesn't that just feel like odd that it's an issue? That the clothing isn't easy to find, or it's not the clothing always that one wants, or the brand that you want, you see your friend in that you can't get.
Right. That's right. And furthermore, finding nice clothes in a larger size is just, it's not easy, but not eating is not easy either.
Not an option.
Understand, the fight to stay thin is a true battle. Mm-hmm. And if I just felt like, oh, I'll still look cute in these jeans if I eat this Cookie Monster, I wouldn't not eat the Cookie Monster.
Right. But you won't look cute in the jeans?
Well, I won't, because the jeans are fine. It's the stomach that hangs over the jeans that causes me confusion.
Right. But the goal is for us to accept who we are, where we are right now. And I thought that was one of the interesting points in that story, is that there's this brand called Universal Standard. Mm-hmm. And the idea, one of their, ideas is that you want to shop for who you are right now. Like we all say, like, when I lose 10 pounds, I'm going to go get some jeans or a dress, or, I don't want to buy too much right now, but you are where you are right now, and you need to look good right now and feel good. So what I liked about them, and this was a couple years ago, I'm not sure of their policy, but you could exchange the garment if you went down or up within a certain amount of time. Maybe it was like 6 months. You could exchange it. So there was no Is it still now? Is it still around? Yeah. Universal Standard. Yeah, and I love that concept, because then you don't stop yourself from looking good and feeling
Universal Standard, that's what it is. Y'all write it down. Universal Standard. Hold on now. So I can buy something in, say, a large, and then when I lose my weight, because I did the Daniel fast in 6 weeks, and I'm ready for the medium, I can exchange those pants?
Yes. Yeah, great. Because I do think,
girl,
unless you've truly accepted your body, or, your size, you're always thinking like, I want to be that, the next 5 pounds, I'll get this, or, I'll treat myself to, I do it. I'll treat myself to something. I'm going to wait to buy that leather jacket for fall until I'm, this size, but do it now. And then if you get to the size you want, exchange it. I thought it was just a brilliant concept.
That's a very brilliant concept. Let me ask you something about shopping then. So do you only, now that you work in fashion, I mean, you've always been fashionable, but now that like fashion is your world, do you only like buy designer, or are you still shopping at Macy's?
Oh, no. Just my dad's shirt. No, I go high-low. So I've never been only design. I go to Target. I love vintage clothes. I love going vintage clothing shopping.
What's your go-to spot? Like if you got to go out somewhere tomorrow and you need something, if you got a meeting with Lady O tomorrow, where are you going to get an outfit?
Oh my gosh, it's just giving me anxiety.
Anxiety too, but for whole other reasons. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not a size 4. So I would have to go, speaking of, shopping for curves, I would have to go where there are options. So I would say, you put a pretty important meeting out there. So I might go to Bergdorf's if I had a meeting like that. I mean, that's a special occasion.
I love that I said Macy's and you're like Bergdorf's.
You said a meeting if Oprah called me in for a meeting.
If Oprah called me in for a meeting, I have to go to Macy's. Because that's where my credit card.
Give me the budget.
Ooh, but if I knew they had exchange clothes, I would go and get something. Oh my gosh.
That's what
I liked. You know what I liked that you did? Remember when you were recreating her covers for yourself? Yeah. That was just magnificent. I would watch and I'd be like, look at Holly.
I loved it. Well, let me first rewind. But I do shop. I don't want to seem like someone who would go to Bergdorf's, but because I know they have sizing. So I can't say like a Zara or.
Right. I can't tell the Zara either.
It's iffy. Pants would be an issue. Right?
You know what was my jam? Because I swear they make me feel better about my size, because everything in there that I wear is a medium. New York & Company. And I'm relatively sure the clothes are cut big. Like I know it's not true to size, but I feel so good because I only have to, and they're going out of business.
I know New York & Company is good. Where else did I used to?
They're good for curvy girls.
Great for curvy. Eloquy. I've ordered stuff from. I wear Eloquy bathing suits that I love. They're my favorite bathing suits.
Yeah.
I don't do them anymore, but I haven't shopped in a long time. I will say.
Well, is it because? So could it be? I know the pandemic, because we can't really go shopping. But before then, are you a big consumer, a big shopper, or because this is your world, do you get tired of it?
Never get tired of it. I think I've been, conserving more and shopping my closet, and I lost a little bit of weight. So I feel like then I can go back in and see what couldn't I wear for however long that fits now. But I do I love shoes. So shoes, that's my weakness. Shoe sample sale or shoe sale. I will always look at shoes. But I don't shop a ton, and I'm trying to, we worked on an eco story too. I'm trying to consume a little bit less. Just not, because I love H&M too. So that would be another place I would go, H&M.
Yeah, very good one.
But,
are you a minimalist? Are you trying to be a minimalist?
A minimalist in my shopping habits?
Well, people are like throwing out all their stuff and only living with the bare.
Yes, I wish I could do that, but I am not a minimalist. I have a ton of stuff, and it's hard for me to get rid of stuff. But I realize I have enough. I have enough right now, and let me go and see what I have. And if there's something that I need, if I need a pair of pants or a skirt, a black skirt or whatever, fine. But let's just see what I have,
So what are you doing? What has been keeping you busy in the last 6 months since the pandemic?
You want to know?
I do.
So I'm quarantining with my dad. My dad is 82. So he's not driving. So I came out here, whatever that fateful day was in March.
March 13th.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was the 6th. I think I pushed it because I was still going to spin class and stuff. And then I was like, I should probably go to my dad's. All of a sudden,
the zombie apocalypse was going on in Manhattan, and you're going to the gym.
Okay. Well, one more day. I think he's fine. One more day. And then, the rumor was they were going to shut down all the bridges and tunnels, and the railroad, I wouldn't be able to get out.
Remember, everybody had a friend inside the Pentagon that had some, we're going to shut down.
We're going to shut down. So then I was like, let me get out of here. So I'd been here with him and Tito, my dad's 15-year-old dog, really was my mom's dog, 15-year-old dog. So I've been here with the seniors and just trying to maintain this house. Areshia has been, if I tell you everything that has happened to this house in the past 6 months, and I don't know what I'm doing. Remember, I'm live in Manhattan. I don't know. I've put new cesspools in. I put an alarm system in after an incident. The cesspools leaked in the basement. We have to clean that out. What else? There was a squirrel in the house. Ducks laid eggs and we're living in our backyard. It's just.
How does one go from judging nail competitions to cesspools?
Oh, I didn't know anything about any of that, but I had to figure it out. So I did my research online and found a cesspool company who could come and restore the cesspool and empty out the others. We have 2 cesspools.
Good Lord.
All over the basement. For months, it was leaking in the basement. You don't want to know all this. I told you.
Whole nother show. But I will say that YouTube is very good. I changed a pipe under my sink using a YouTube video.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't change it. I just found ratings on Google.
You called the right people. Lord, Holly. But that's because you shop at Bergdorf's and I shop at Macy's. So I have to do it myself.
Look, you set the scene for the meeting. If you said date, I would have had a different answer. If you said a brunch with the girls, a vacation, you said meeting with Oprah.
So let me ask you this. How is that? Tell us, because all us ladies would love to know. What's it like working with Oprah and Gail?
A dream.
It is. Does it feel like you're in a dream every day? Are you just waiting to hear something really profound?
Oprah's not in the office.
Mm-hmm.
She comes in when she needs to come in. So Gail is, because she does, the morning show and she lives in New York. Oprah does not live in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just as a Black woman, to see these 2 women who are so important to the world and to just be in their energy and to hear their voice or, it's the highlight. I won't say one of, it probably is the highlight of my career. I am so grateful to have had this experience.
What would you say is the most important lesson that you have learned in your time there?
From them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say, so Oprah had a cruise. The Oprah cruise was a couple years, or last year, or a couple years ago. I don't know what day it is, so it's like a year ago.
My sister said every day is 2 days.
So her mother had passed somewhat recently, and she was giving the speech. She gave a speech that, you had to get your ticket to, and she did a few of them during the cruise. And she was just talking about losing her mother, and I had just lost my mother the year or so before. And she said, people in heaven love you more fiercely. And what they couldn't do for you on earth, they'll do for you in heaven. And she just had all of this insight about something that's so hard. And she said something else. I think she said, you have to let them go. You have to let go of the longing. It's hard because you long to have that person back. So I think that has nothing to do with publishing and has nothing to do with working.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the biggest lessons, to let go of the longing and to know that there's someone looking out for me out there.
Yeah. I read a quote just today that said, grief is love unexpressed.
Yes. I think I have that in my quote book.
Yeah. And it really, I was like, wow, I had never thought about that. It's all that bottled up love that you had for that person that you can no longer express.
Right. Stays with you. Henry Louis Gates said something on grief that has helped me tremendously. He said, you know, someone took me to, he had a speech on, I guess it was on, I don't know what exactly the topic was, but he got into the loss of his mother. And he said, it's like this. He said, there's a river or a stream of sadness underneath my feet at all times. And I can choose to dip my feet in it and go right back to that moment, or I can keep my feet above it. So that's how it is. She just explained it, and that's how it is. Keep your feet above it. You could choose to keep them in, but that's going to take you to a place that you might not need to go to all the time, you know? So that's another thing I've learned, not related to O, but one of the most valuable lessons that I've learned.
How hard is it to be someone who works in this world where the goal is to make people look good, make people feel good, you know, always put on the smile on the face? How difficult is that when there's grief underneath?
I feel like there's always grief underneath. I think, you mean my own grief?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's always, everyone has pain underneath, and I think, you know, looking good helps you feel better, feel good. So I think it's not masking it, but it helps me to help people, you know, look and feel their best as well. And I do it for myself too, you know, get up, do your hair. You know, when I was in that kind of pain, after losing my mother, you know, I thought, you think you're just going to be in a ball in the corner and not going to be able to exist, but there's something willing you, and maybe it was her, but there's something that keeps you going. Because you have a choice. You can be in that ball, or you can get up, get to work, get to living, because you're still living. So there are the moments when you want to go in the ball, but I think, you know, I reacted to it differently than it was ridiculously hard, but I think I wasn't in the ball. So that helped as well for me to keep it moving and keep the beauty and fashion going. And I did take a break. I did take a break. So I took a break from work after that, a pretty long break.
Did you go away somewhere, or you just kind of stayed?
No, so actually I should take that back. So my mother passed away in November. My dad had to have triple bypass surgery in March. So there wasn't that much, I didn't have that much time. During that time, I found out that I had to leave my job. So I was like negotiating a package to leave my job. My dad's in surgery, and after that kind of surgery, the recovery is long. So I think that, you know, I had to sort of keep it moving. So right after, let's just say, so I left my job in April. From April to July, I didn't work. It took some time.
This year?
No, that was 2017.
2017. Okay.
And I started at O in 2017 freelancing, and that went well. And then I left for a little bit, and then I took the permanent job. I guess that was 2018. And we are 2020.
And now we just put on our lipstick and everything gets better.
It does. Lipstick changes everything. That was the name of my book.
Really? Now, so tell me about this book. You've mentioned it a couple times.
It's not as, but the book I would write or would want to write wouldn't probably be about that. But I do think just remembering even my mother, I would bring her, like, you know, I obviously had access at the time to a lot of stuff since I was trying all this stuff, and Christian Louboutin out with lipstick. That was like $90 a lipstick, which is something I probably wouldn't be able to buy, but I had it, and I brought it to my mom when she was, like, you know, in rehab, not doing well, and like her face would light up. It was like the color you have on, this beautiful red, obviously red bottom shoes.
I love some red.
It changes your outlook. Lipstick, like just like a little lipstick, whatever your thing is, lipstick, blush, but lipstick, which is interesting because lipstick sales, I've heard, are way down because of masks.
I mean, I can't imagine that they're not. And I think that, so face system stuff must be coming too, because my mask is breaking out my face.
Awful. Like you can't see, but awful breakouts, but
crazy.
But eye sales are up, like lashes and mascara and
really.
Really,
where are they going? Everybody jumping on Zoom all day? Is it?
Well, people still want, to present their eyes or part of themselves to the world. And I've worn lipstick by accident and put on a mask, and
the mask gets a mess. Yep. So let me ask you something. I want to play a little game with you. I loved the Yvonne Orji interview that you did.
Oh my God, you remember that?
I loved it. And so, first of all, Holly, let me say this. Whenever I read your writing, it's like you're talking to your girlfriend. I just love it. It feels it's so familiar and it's so engaging and it's so like it makes you feel like, it makes me as the reader feel like I'm in it. Like, oh yeah, she's talking directly to me. How did she know I needed to know that?
I love that comes across because I love to be conversational, and every magazine has a voice and you have to follow the voice of that magazine. But in my real life or when I write for myself, I love to be as chatty as I can and fun and funny, that's who I am.
Yeah, you're good at it. You're really good at it. With Yvonne Orji, you played this game that I'm going to steal from you. I plead the gift.
Oh my God, that was, she try to remember that game. That was like 2 years ago. I'm
going to tell you the game. So I'm going to ask you questions, and you can either answer them or you can plead the gift. And then I'm going to superimpose a gift with your expression for why you didn't answer the question.
I like that. I remember the game.
Yeah.
I don't remember the premise. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you ready?
Wait,
okay.
Should I move? Is the lighting all right? Because I can.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. Okay. First question. Who has better fashions? Andre Leon Talley or Billy Porter?
I just love Billy Porter. I love everything about Billy Porter. When he sang in Kinky Boots,
yeah,
it was like love at first song. I just think he's so talented and he's so bold and brave and fearless. But I love Andre Leon Talley as well, but I'm going to say Billy Porter.
Okay, Billy's got the win. All right, next question. Of all the publications that you've worked for, who's your favorite?
I might plead the gift on that one.
Just like Yvonne. All right, yoga pants or sweatpants?
Yoga pants.
Yoga pants?
You mean like spandex pants, right?
Yeah, they're like, but not, they have the flowy bottom. They're not like leggings. Like yoga pants you can kind of wear with everything.
Oh, then no, I don't want a flowy bottom. I will go sweatpants.
Sorry.
I was like, you did leggings because I like to look at my butt in the mirror and like, see what it's up to. So I like a little stretch pant.
Okay, Holly. All right. When it comes to makeup, and I think I know the answer to this, what's most important, the eyes or the lips?
Eyes.
Really? I just knew you were going to say the lips because of the lipstick.
I love eyeliner. My tagline is lipstick changes everything, but it's a figurative thing. I love eyeliner. I wear eyeliner to the gym, and I do.
I do too. I put on makeup when I go, only like when I'm running in marathons where they're gonna take my picture. Not marathons, don't get excited, like 10Ks. But I do it so that I look good on the photo.
Right. Well, it makes me feel like my eyes are awake.
Eyeliner sometimes makes me look like a raccoon.
I don't mind that look. I like a little smudge. You're very like well put together and polished. I am like messy, bohemian. Like you're
girl, I'm sitting at home with nothing else to do. So let me ask you this, because I've been doing this. I don't know if it's bad for me. I heard that you could put preparation H under your eyes to get rid of bags, and I've been doing it. Am I going to lose my eyesight?
No, that's like an old favorite, an old trick.
Oh, look at God. Here we go. Are crop tops still an option over 40?
Yeah.
You think so? I kind of feel like you shouldn't do that.
You didn't say for me.
I mean, anybody. If you're 40 and above, you should not have your belly button hanging out.
I have friends. I don't like the 80s one where you see the belly button, but I think if there's a little bit of skin, so I can't go further down because you don't want to see what I have on the bottom. But if there's a little bit of skin showing, that to me is still a crop top.
Okay.
Are you talking about belly button and low riding pants?
I'm saying your shirt should go inside your bottoms when you're over 40. You don't need to show no skin unless you're on the beach.
I just think like a shorter shirt with like a high-waisted jean. I like that look.
On a 20-year-old?
But like even like this bit of skin, none. No.
It's never acceptable.
And is it a body thing? Like, is there a body thing that it's okay? Or you think-
No, I could be a size 6, but if I'm 46, let's not do that. You know, I'm just a little thirsty. All right. Okay. What is this? What did you say?
I know a lot of people agree with you. But I was like, I think you should go for whatever you want to do. You know, I might not like it, but I think you should go for it. But a crop top, I am okay. I have friends who do it, but again, they look like they're 26 or 30 too.
I was about to say, I'm just hating because, child, I can't show no parts of my belly. Nobody wants to see it, and I don't want to show it.
People have always said I look like Oprah, which I don't see.
I was going to tell you that. I was going to say that off camera because when you first got on, I thought, wow, they look alike.
I don't see it. It's just, I'm happy to be compared to her in any way. But, people have stopped me on the street and, asked if I was related so.
Well, it's the hair. It's the way you wear your hair, like especially like the style that's in today. You've seen her kind of with that curly thing. But then also you have like the cheekbone feet, like you're from the same tribe at the very minimum.
We probably are.
And you should call her up and be like, should we take an ancestry DNA test?
Exactly.
Just in case. Now I heard that you all give away all of the favorite things you choose people to actually give all of the favorite things away to, and you all wrap each gift. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
I'm not a good rapper, and those boxes are awkward, but they do, last year, the year before, I think, we did ask staff, if you have some extra time, come help us wrap, because it's all wrapped. Sometimes I would be there when the assistant would call and tell the person they won, which is like, a lot of people don't believe it or hang up or, but if I won that, it's a pretty fantastical prize, but we do wrap them and they are given away. So people should enter for the next one because it could happen to you.
This too could happen to you. Put my name at the top of the list, Holly. Do you get a lot of giveaways? Like, do you have a lot of stuff? Do they, as a staff, are y'all allowed to just kind of rummage and take what you like?
I'm not in the beauty department anymore, but, as a beauty person, the beauty editors, obviously you do get to try a lot of stuff and take stuff home that you're not using, and that's part of your job. So, the runoff, I do get some, and we had a free table, which was always like fascinating. You could find like homemade salsa or sneakers. Like you never knew I was going to be there. A bra, I got like bras, like because people get stuff and, you can't, either it's been photographed or you don't need it or whatever it is. So that sometimes it's put on, they call it the free table. But the difference between fashion and beauty is with beauty, most things you keep. Like people send you stuff to try. With fashion, it goes back. Anything, you call stuff in more. You call in, like if we're doing a skirt story, you need skirts. You have to give them back. With beauty, it's unsolicited. People just send you stuff. And then, of course, you ask for things as well, but it's different in there. So, but there's always like crazy food because they've tried everything they put in the magazine. So there's the O list, there's a food one. And after that, after that meeting, they'll put out all the extra food that's been tested. And that's like a great day when that food comes out.
This is why curvy girls got to come in, because you need to be able to taste the food for your job and then look cute when you have the meeting.
Cakes. Areshia like 8 cakes.
Well, and she's a big cheese lover too, right? Do y'all get a lot of cheese?
There was a cheese and salami board. They put it in favorite things last year. It was like a charcuterie board.
Oh, I love a good charcuterie board.
Nuts and cheese and meat, and they send it to you, and you put it to you. It's like a beautiful setup with like, an olive branch. It's like a beautiful charcuterie. So that was there. Yes, there's like everything food-wise.
So let me ask you this, Holly, very seriously. Are you a porn assistant? I mean, this sounds like I'm a perfect fit for the job. I can food taste. I can do the inclusivity clothing, whatever you need.
Well, there's no food anymore. Now we don't get.
Knowing all that you know now about beauty and fashion, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
I would tell her that it's going to be all right. You're going to find who you are. You're going to learn to love your hair.
Have you ever not loved your hair, Holly?
Of course.
What?
Of course.
What is there not to love?
Of course I did. I mean, growing up, it's all relative of what your surroundings are and who you're.
So I know this young lady, her daughter has been in school. She was the only black child in her own class from like kindergarten to I think it was like 4th grade before there was somebody else in there. And when she was in 2nd grade, she said that she got picked on because her hair didn't move. Oh. Right? Okay, fair enough. But Holly, your hair moved. And then your hair has always moved. We can see you coming down the street and you got it. Woo! Honey, back when we was young in our 20s, you just flowing hair in the wind.
But I would say that I didn't understand my hair yet. I didn't know that it could be curly and straight. I didn't know that it didn't need to be straight. Like you're trying to conform to whatever the norm is. And there's, I was around all these white girls. My hair couldn't do that. I couldn't get a perm. I was like, why can't I get a perm? I couldn't get a body wave. Not that kind of perm anyway. But
you'll end up with patches.
Right, exactly. So I don't know that I hated my hair, but I wanted my hair to be something different. I wanted it to be like their hair. And I didn't know my curls until 5 years ago either. I think like you have to get to know your hair to love your hair and what it can do.
But now that you kind of write the narrative about hair and about beauty on an international level, do you kind of look back and it's like, look at me now? Would you say, hey, 16-year-old, you just wait a minute because it's like 30 years, you're going to be calling the shots.
Yeah. I never thought about, talking to my former self, but it's like, you got this. Like you're going to run shit, but you're going to help people determine what people want to buy and how people,
you really do determine we know for a fact that, what is it called? The Oprah effect. If she says it, people go for it, right? And so I don't know, what y'all's process is and how you go through, but I imagine if you've reviewed a beauty brand or you've reviewed a fashion line or you've reviewed something and you give your input, that can affect what the next Oprah effect is. Would you say that's true?
Right. Of course. Especially if Oprah likes it. If you're presenting someone who's presenting something to Oprah, you do definitely, there is like a trickle down effect of influence there. But when you're doing your job too, you can't think about it almost. You think about what is the best thing for this story. I remember when I was at People Magazine, and People has like the highest circulation of any magazine. Mm-hmm. And we would joke because like there would be a lipstick on the floor and we'd be like, oh, this one's good. Like, and you're just like, let's put it in. And like it wasn't like it was like trash on the floor, but it was just like we had so much stuff, but it was just, you couldn't think like this is like 20 million people are going to see this lipstick that we just chose, whatever, of course it was a great lipstick, but it's just, You're doing your job and you just happen to have influence, but that influence can never determine how you do your job. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I want to say like, I create the trends, therefore I will, it just happens that what you pick will be received and used, but you don't want that to get, in my opinion, you don't want that to get to your head.
What do you tell someone who wants to get into this business, whether it's a young person or a person looking at, a lot of people are going to take this pandemic as an opportunity to kind of transition. If I'm somebody who has wanted to be in beauty and in editorials for beauty or to do the kind of work that you do, what do you tell that person? How does one get their start in this business?
I mean, I would say one thing, like reach out. Like I've spoken to people through DM or whatever. Like I'm happy to, you never know, that you can get a response from someone. These days, social media brings us closer together. So I think you should, look at people, follow people that you're interested in their work, and it can't hurt to reach out to them. We talked about mentorship, right? And unfortunately I didn't have one, but hopefully I've helped people along the way whenever I could. I think your path might not be the path like mine that you think it's going to be. You should always, just move one step closer to whatever the goal is. So if you write for free for some website, just know that might lead to someone might see it, and that can be your clip, or you can use it to get to where you want to be. I just think you have to put yourself out there, I think, print magazines, I don't know, but like digital, I think put yourself out there and approach whatever outlet it is and see if you can write for them. You never really know. People will say yes more often than you might think.
Hall's Beauty on Instagram. Following you, I saw that you have a lot of like fancy people following you, and that you follow. Like, if you want to know anything about beauty or fashion, all you gotta do is follow your Instagram, because you're like in the know.
I try to be.
Yeah.
Something.
All right, got a little something. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on Teach the People. We appreciate you. We have truly learned tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
For having me.
Well, that was an amazing conversation with Holly Carter. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and come back next week for another episode of Teach the People with Areshia. But until then, remember, each one, teach one.